Back in 2016, I achieved my lifelong dream of becoming a published author, and soon after, I realized the true struggle all authors have in finding book reviews. While I'm incredibly proud of what I've achieved as an indie author over the years, I'm just as proud of the indie books I've discovered and reviewed in that time also, because reading to me is everything. The escapism, the stories, the immersion, and even the magic that reading can be has brought me so much over the years. And so supporting fellow indie authors has become a duty, just like my dedication to the written word. Welcome to Talking Indie Books with Lee Hall, an opportunity for me to showcase some wonderful indie books I've been reading. First of all, before we do start, I'd like to just say thank you to everyone who tuned in to the debut episode of this series and for subscribing to the channel. As you can see, the numbers jumped up quite a notch. Anyway, for this second episode, yet again I shall be covering two awesome indie books, but on this occasion, both of them serve as the first titles in their respective series. So this episode is all about series starters. First up we have The Negotiated Death of Sara Glen by Brady Koch, which is a book that's part of the All Our Forgotten Futures series. Author Brady Koch reached out to me in search of a review for a story that sees title character Sara Glen facing a heavy moral dilemma that places her at the very center of this series. After taking an at-home ancestry kit, just for fun, she is found to possess the key to humanity's answer in finding a cure for a rising disease that is beginning to sweep through the world. But there's a catch. This is the story of a rising pandemic with a difference. And for some, that might be a little close to recent times, but to me, it was engrossing and immersive. Our main character's immunity is highly sought after, and this is where the themes and concept of the story come to life. Themes of making the ultimate choice, or even sacrifice, hit hard here, and to quote my written review, "The story frames that dilemma perfectly and kept me reading. I'll admit this book only took a few sittings to complete, and not because it was short, but because it was compelling to keep me reading. There's tension, suspense, deception, and even a hint of darkness. And this book is just the start of a thrilling series that begins with Sara Glen's realizations and then actions, but flows into a world that orbits this emerging disease from origins to outbreak and even futuristic dystopian aftermath, while always following the human element. All four of the titles in this All Our Forgotten Future series are well written and memorable, and also come highly recommended by me. If you like science fiction, dystopian, suspense, and thrillers, all wrapped together in a series that complements each title, well then I'm sure you would like this series. But back to that first title, and my favourite quote, which is, "Everyone wants to know if they have a purpose, what they are born to accomplish." And of course, my rating for this one was 5 stars. You shall find the link to my written review below. Next up we have a futuristic sci-fi series, and while this episode is titled Series Starters, the Woestynn Chronicles is a series that can be read in pretty much any order, as the books within are non-consecutive. But we shall start with my first Woestynn experience, which is The Guard of Woestynn by E.M. McConnell. Now even the word Woestynn stirs a kind of descriptive and foreboding sense for what is to come, and I discovered this book and the awesome author of it over on Twitter. This tale follows the barren prison planet of Woestynn, where the view of this title is through the eyes of a new recruit known as Ford. Quickly, we discover this prison planet is like no other, and there are some really cool and original concepts explored throughout this book and wider series. Woestynn is a place where you have to earn yourself basically through survival if you're an inmate. McConnell brings some unique description and truly brilliant word usage that really sticks out, and like my written review says, the descriptive vibes in this book are the true strength, and McConnell's writing style is very much on display here in this sci-fi dystopian story set in an original universe. And when I say original, both of the series and books featured in this episode embody that. We could easily watch the 200th Star Wars sequel or spin-off, but instead, I'd much rather sit and watch something new like a potential Woestynn adaptation any day. The rest of the titles explore Woestynn through different perspectives, while also retaining that theme and style McConnell has used for them all. Whether it be from the perspective of a well-connected inmate heading to incarceration, to those who lurk beneath the surface of the harsh planet. This is another series or even anthology that I'd highly recommend, and my favourite quote from The Guard of Woestynn is this: "The desert sand and winds took the brightness of everything. We all became matte, dusty." You can find my full written review linked below, and my rating for this one was 5 stars. So, That wraps up this episode of Talking Indie Books with Lee Hall. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and of course, if you're reading something right now, remember to leave a review. Peace out, rock and roll, and reading indie books.